Cuba, que viva Cuba. Cuba para siempre. Cuba, que viva Cuba. Cuba para siempre. Cuba para siempre. Cuba para siempre. Cuba, Cuba, que viva Cuba. Cuba para siempre. El malecón, la Havanna de la...
Depending from where you start your trip to Cuba, you have different choices for checking in. There are 7 ports of entry on the island. Puerto de Vita, a popular hurricane hole, Cayo Coco in the middle of the island, Varadero, the touristic center, and Hemingway Marina close to Havanna. And on the south side you have Cayo Lago, Cienfuegos, and in the far east, Santiago de Cuba. That's where we checked in. Before your arrival, you should contact the officials on channel 16, even if they don't answer. And don't anchor before checked in. The Cubans don't like it. When you arrive at Santiago, the first thing you see is the old fortress at the entrance of the fjord. Santiago is the second biggest city in Cuba. From here, Fidel Castro started his revolution in the late 50s. When you are entering Santiago, be aware of the poor fishermen who are floating in tires. You are not allowed to anchor in front of the city. You have to go to the Male Marina, close to the entrance. The Male Marina is run by the state, and that's where you also find the customs. The procedure is pretty easy and just takes maybe half an hour. The officials are really friendly and maybe they come on board, but just to have a look. You need to have a tourist card or a visa, but you can buy it after arrival. We haven't done anything in advance, but it was no problem. You arrange everything with the customs office. And if you are sailing with a dog, all you need are the regular vaccinations, nothing else. The marinas in Cuba aren't in the best condition, but they are still quite okay. In Santiago, you are not allowed to use your dinghy, but there is public transport to the city by ferry boat and then by a kind of bus. Actually, it's a truck. For less than 10 pence, you will get into town. Santiago is definitely worth a visit. The people are very friendly, the streets are clean, and there's nearly no traffic. Just a few people can afford to buy a car. You have nice bars and cafes and some restaurants, but be aware that sometimes they don't offer much. Cuba is suffering from the worst economic crisis since years. But if you walk along the streets, you will see many happy people enjoying life. Everyone is friendly and we never felt in danger. And it seems that it's not in the DNA of Cubans to make profit out of tourists. They are just welcoming you and want to have a chat. But there is one thing in Santiago that bothers me. A kind of acid rain. While in the marina or an anchor, you should cover your deck. Otherwise, it will look like this, with lots of dark spots, which you cannot wash off. The reason for the acid rain is a power plant close to the marina, and it seems that they are burning everything they get. If your boat will be hit by the acid rain depends, of course, on the wind direction. Maybe you are lucky. Let's talk about money. The currency is the Cuban peso, the cup. There used to be a second currency just for tourists, the cook, and it was related to the dollar. But it's not existing anymore. The best changing rate you will get on the black market. Just ask in hotels or restaurants where you can change money and someone will show up. In April 24, we got 300 pesos for $1. It's a double amount of money compared to what you get at the bank. And make sure you have enough cash on board, because ATMs are hard to find. Anyhow, credit cards are welcome in most of the places. Just American credit cards are not working because of the sanctions. Santiago is a good place for checking in because you get everything you need in Cuba. From Santiago, we sail to the west, and it's an amazing trip. At the beautiful coastline, you will find a lot of fishing villages and safe anchorages. The biggest risk is to hit a whale. While sailing at the south coast, we saw a couple of them. Wherever you anchor, an official will show up. Because the border police in smaller villages doesn't have their own boats, fishermen will row them to your boat. The procedure is easy and the officials are always very friendly. But of course, they like to have a cup of coffee in the morning or late in the afternoon, a beer. The life in the villages is pretty easy, but all the people we met were very, very welcoming. We were invited a couple of times to their houses, and people are glad to share what they have. Because it's hard to buy some stuff in Cuba, people aren't interested in money. But if you sail to Cuba, you should get some stuff on the boat to change or to give away as a present. Starting from medicine like painkillers or some antibiotic creams, to soap or pieces of rope or fishing lines. Everything you don't need on board anymore. And children really like to get some paper and pencils for the school. Sailing in Cuba is different. You need a good preparation because on the smaller villages it's hard to get any food. This is a shop called Panamericana. They are everywhere, but normally they don't have much. At least the rum selection is quite good, and you get tobacco and normally beer. These Swedish sailors are looking desperately for some biscuits. And even if you find a bakery, normally everything's empty. For all who have Starlink on board, yes, it worked in Cuba very good, at least in April 24. One of the most asked questions is about Wi-Fi and mobile phone connection. Actually, it works pretty good. But Cubacell, the only phone company on the island, is not working with foreign companies. But you can get a local SIM card at a Cubacell office, if it's open or if they have electricity. The easier way is to get it on the black market for around $30. And they have public hotspots on Cuba. But to connect to the hotspots, you need to have a code. And this code you can also buy at the official offices. But if you find the hotspot, the net is really weak. Let's continue our trip to the west. In Cabo Cruz, a very nice fishing village, you have to make a decision. If you want to sail in the inner side of the big reef or on the outer side. You have to zoom in the electronic charts to see the challenge. There is a huge reef 20 to 30 sea miles far away from the coastline. And on the inner side you have hundreds of small uninhabited islands. If you decide to sail in the inner reef, you will get a big reward. Navigation is quite tricky and reminds a little bit on sailing in the shallow waters of the Bahamas. But you will find great spots without any other sailing boats. The fishing grounds are amazing. And in the inner reef, you have really good sailing conditions. Normally, there are no waves. And because all of the small islands are uninhabited, there is also no coast guard. Wherever you like, you can drop the anchor. The only boats you will spot are small fishing boats. And if you like lobster, you found heaven. You just have to dive a little bit and pick them up. And if you are not successful, don't worry, fishermen will come to visit you and bring you lots of fish for free as a gift.
Oh!
Sí, yes, yes, yes.
Eso sí es plaza para acá.
These fishermen tied up to our boat and gave us tons of fish. Actually, they prepared the fish for us too. We shared a few beers with them, so they were happy and we were much happier.
Cuba y Alemania, muy amigos. Ya, amigos de Cuba y Alemania, muy amigos. Y Turquía. Y Turquía.
Adiós.
Oh.
Genau. Ah, adiós.
Our hearts beat to the city streets. We began to feel the fire.
We spent more than 2 weeks on the small islands. Some of them just covered with mangroves, others with sandy beaches. Besides us and our friend, there was just one more sailboat. We lived kind of a Robinson Crusoe life, and we enjoyed it.
We wanna chase the night, wanna dance to the light, pull the stars from the sky, just two hearts running wild. Never sleep, never stop, as we shout from the top. We're gonna be two hearts running wild. Now the morning is the afternoon. We lay awake in bed.
And there are 3 easy passages between the inner and the outer reef. If you stay on the inner side, you just can't go to Trinidad de Cuba. But if you want to sail to Cienfuegos, you have to go to the outer side. Cienfuegos is located in a sheltered bay, and the city is the heart of the sailing community. You even have some charter companies here. And this is the old yacht club. Like in Santiago, you have the choice of being in the marina or on anchor in front of the marina. And also like in Santiago, you are not allowed to cruise in the bay with your own dinghy. The marina is nice and has a bar, a gas station and some shops. But also here it's hard to buy stuff. The city center is very nice, but also quite calm. Cienfuegos used to be a touristic town, but after COVID, tourism is down. And even if you find lots of shops and boutiques, normally they are all empty. Like this huge Panamericana shop. Just the tobacco and rum shops are really well equipped. Shopping in Cuba is a challenge. Even groceries are hard to get, unless you have a Cuban by your side who shows you where you find the stuff you need. All the cities we've been to were really lovely. Like here, Trinidad de Cuba. It's really amazing how clean and tidy the streets and houses are. It's sad to see that such a beautiful country with so amazing people is suffering. On the one side, because of the US sanctions. On the other, because of their own political system. People in Cuba are suffering. The average income is around $35 per month. Close to Cienfuegos is probably the best sailing area on Cuba. Cayo Lago is just one of these beautiful islands. You can anchor or go to the marina, probably the best in Cuba. Because all the marinas belong to the state, the prices are everywhere the same. On Cayo Lago, you find the nicest beaches we've seen in Cuba.
Aber echt? Boah.
And some interesting creatures. Iguanas. Huge iguanas. But also the other islands in West Cuba are amazing, like Cayo Campo. Cayo Campo is a nature reserve, and on this uninhabited island are just 2 rangers and a few monkeys. And from the south we sail to the north, to the famous Hemingway Marina, close to Havanna. The entrance is a bit tricky, because it's just a small inlet between the reef. In heavy northerly winds, it's impossible to enter the marina, because of the high waves. Anyhow, the Coast Guard will close the marina in heavy weather. Hemingway Marina is a perfect place to stay when you want to visit Havanna. Sad to see that just a few foreign boats are here on mooring. Havanna is different. On the one side, you have the well-renovated old city, but just a few streets further away, there is a poor Havanna. People living in kind of ruins, and they are cooking on the streets. Nevertheless, Havanna is a beautiful city. Easily, you can spend a week or even more in this fantastic town without seeing everything. With all the stereotypes of Cuba, like the old cars, and of course, Havanna is famous for the very nice bars. One of the most famous is La Floridita, because of Ernest Hemingway. A walk through the old city is like a trip into the past. You find old pharmacies like this one, and you find lots of shops. But like everywhere in the country, they are mostly empty. And if they have something in stock, you will see it because of the long queue in front of the shop. But even in the capital of Cuba, the most shelves are empty. And you will find lots of museums and art exhibitions, like in this old factory. And the later the evening, the more turns the art factory into a club, with music, live bands, discos. We are fascinated by this amazing country, by the lovely people and the great nature. And we will come back to enjoy this lively community and this wonderful sailing area.